Okay, everyone, welcome to week 5, where we're going to go over one of the most popular trial presentation tools out there, which is Trial Director. We're going to see how this goes, and if we need more time in this module, we might spread it out over another week or two. So please be sure and give me some feedback on whether you're getting the information you need in this module, and where you are having difficulty, and if there's anything I can help you out with. Again, just give me a call or email, and we'll arrange a mutually beneficial time for us to chat. Um, I'm going to do an assignment walkthrough after I finish this just really quick walkthrough. You should have already gone through 2 links that I provided that were done by InData. I felt that that did a better job of just walking through the various components. And now I'm going to give you kind of my real world walkthrough of how I do it and how a lot of the hot seats um, that I work with use Trial Director in particular. We don't use all the tabs that they did in the product demo. So let's go ahead and go through it. So, as you saw, the left side contains your list of exhibits. It's organized by folder here. And again, remember, we have a case organizational structure out on our C drive that we have imported things into. So you can either find it through Trial Director's organizational system or the organizational system that you're going to set up on the hard drive of your computer. We'll discuss more of that later, but we've kind of hit on it where we would have a exhibits folder, a PowerPoint folder, a video folder, and so on and so on. The left side contains all the exhibits, transcripts, and multimedia in your case. We're going to be focusing this week on exhibits, and that's why it was so important we learned about exhibits before getting into the technology. If you notice, you get a long list here, and you can see that they did not follow a consistent naming format here on the left for the example, but which makes me a little nuts, because what you really want is you want to be able to enter in information with the same number of digits every single time, same prefixes every single time, or at least a very limited set of prefixes. And what that does is when you're starting to panic and feel the walls closing in on you, you know that your exhibits are only 5 digits. That 4.4 that we talked about before, where it's a 4-digit exhibit number and a 4-digit page number. That's one way of doing it. But in general, if you have your exhibits in your exhibit data, your trial presentation database in a consistent way, when things start going wrong, you'll be able to you won't be questioning whether you need to enter in 5 zeros or 6 zeros or 3 zeros. You're just always going to be doing things the same way. So that was bad naming on their part. So one thing, if you right click on these exhibits and go to properties, you can see that it gives you a path to the file itself, and it's in our sample data folder. We would have, when I do the walkthrough, we're going to put it in an organizational structure that I've been mentioning a little bit here and there. But this is the path to the file name, and if for some reason someone changes a folder, or maybe you have an external drive and the letter changes, that's where the issues occur. The issues typically occur because there's some break in the path to the document, followed by maybe electronic file corruption or something like that. But the primary issue is the path is wrong somehow because you changed a folder name, or maybe you have all your exhibits on an external drive and you plug it in and it gives it a different drive letter. Because you can have an external drive and one day it's C and the next day it's D and the next day it's E. Well, this is an absolute path straight to that exhibit, and if it doesn't match exactly, it's not coming up. So right here, that was just by right-clicking, and you could always browse out to the location where that file is and reconnect it. But I'm going to show you a QC routine in a second. Next is the Workbooks Explorer here, and I use this quite a bit. And this one's full of examples. But basically, if you right-click, you can create a new workbook, and it's a great way of organizing witnesses, or your opening or your closing. Now remember, people are going on a script. Your attorneys are going on a script, and they go off script all the time. So the foldering, the workbook is a great way to get 90% of your stuff into a single location that you can click through and organize and put in the same order as their outline. But at the end of the day, you should be ready for all the curveballs that come at you. So, where I've seen problems here is when people only put the things they think they need for opening in, or only the things they need for closing. And this is a very powerful program, and computer storage space is cheap. So, put everything in. Put the whole kitchen sink in. It's not going to hurt you unless you're busting at the seams. Let's see here. So you can see here's the in the middle of the page towards the left, there is a image tab, a native tab, a text tab, and a presentation preview. I pretty much exclusively 95% of the time work here in this image tab. I rarely work in native in any of my trial presentation tools. So if I had what that means is if I had like a PowerPoint or Excel spreadsheet, I'd probably just open it up separately and work on it that way. There's some room for disagreement on that, but that's how I work. The text, I've never used that tab, I think, in my entire career. Presentation preview. I use this quite a bit because you can kind of mock things up before you put it on screen. But I've also seen a lot of people get in trouble in this area because maybe they do all their work here in this presentation preview tab, and then they go to put it on screen and everything comes out wrong. Well, it's because of an aspect ratio issue of some kind. And we talked a lot about not wanting your presentation to look like a funny egg, and this is the reason why. So you always got to be careful. Another area for you to test. Another important toolbar item is the reconnect missing files. And what this does is it goes through and makes sure that every single exhibit that's in your exhibit database is linked to something. So everything here, it looks like everything here is connected, so we're okay. I like to run this anytime I load data. I like to run it every morning when I go to trial, if time is permitting. But I always try to make time to do this because it'll tell me pretty quick if I'm going to have problems. Typically, the problem that happens is one of two things. It's the external drive issue that we just talked about, where you plug it in and maybe it takes a different drive letter. I try not to put stuff on external drives, but you might have a case with a lot of video or something like that, and you have to put it on the external. And in that case, routine is your friend, where you do everything the exact same way every single time, and you better be able to change some file paths and edit those file paths if you are using external devices. That gets into, remember those image load files we talked about back in the exhibits module, and the skills that you use with modifying image load files are kind of the same that you would use for modifying a file path to a image or something along those lines in your trial presentation database. So let me show you really quick if for some reason the file wasn't there. And I'm going to navigate out to, and it really helps to experiment around with this. See sample data and docs. And I'm going to change the file name here of our demo 01, just so you can see when an error occurs. So here's demo 01 over here. I just changed the file name, reconnect missing files, and look, here it comes. It's telling me this is missing. So that tells me I got to go take a look and see what's going on. So I'm going to go back over here to and fix it. And run this again. You have successfully reconnected all files. So that means if all my exhibits, I've put everything in, and I have a workflow with my legal team so that every file comes in, that if something goes wrong, it means someone didn't give me that file. It means someone didn't give me the exhibit. It means that they worked outside of the workflow, and that should be dealt with a little sternly. And you should nail that problem down as quickly as possible. It could also mean that your drive, again, like your external drive, is taking a different drive letter. And then last, I have had issues where I have file corruption. You are running at a million miles an hour, the speed of light when you're in trial. So maybe you disconnect a cable too early when you're transferring files or something along those lines, and the file becomes corrupt. That's why we have the redundant system, two systems, but it doesn't help you if you copy that same corrupt file over to another computer. So that has been the only situation where I've had trouble in court where I had the file. It was corrupt from the start because you can't always check. If you have millions and millions of pages of exhibits, sometimes you can't check every single one. You try your best, but you can't. So when that situation happens, that's when you flip over and you say very calmly to your attorney, you say, "Do you mind putting that exhibit up on the document camera?" And you just do so calmly, and you pull an exhibit out of a binder of some kind and you hand it to them, or have the paralegal hand it to them. And if you've practiced, they'll know something is wrong with that electronic file in the database, and they need to work around it this time. It's a lot better than complete panic. Okay, so be sure you practice those issues before you, with your legal team, so that way they know how to handle them smoothly. So next, I'm going to switch over to a dual screen setup. And I hope it shows correctly on the screens you use at home. But I want to show the extended screen desktop, which is, to me, the preferred format of how you should be working using any of your trial presentation tools of choice. They all do it. So, and it gives you the ability to work on one screen while presenting on another screen. So I'm going to pause for a second here and get that set up, and I'll talk to you in a moment.